What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA strategy show, Tuesday morning, presented by Underdog Fantasy. I'm Dave Loughran, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. Hit me up at Laffy_D, LOUGHY_D. For those of you podcast listeners out there, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Pretty good. Finally had a good NBA night last night. It had been a while, so that feels good.
Good. Yeah. Interesting night for sure. Jason Tatum, 13 rebounds, so yeah, that didn't go as planned.
No. Just as a general point, it typically doesn't come up a lot in the postseason since you don't have a ton of injury news and all of that. Be ready to late swap. I was the only person in high stakes yesterday that played Steven Adams. He was 7% owned in like the large field $15 tournament. Probably one of the biggest like advantages all season long was just being around the late swap to Steven Adams yesterday.
What was your swap, given that you're still playing Tyus Jones, right? And he had a huge game.
So it ended up not in like my $2,000 lineup. It ended up not even mattering because I swapped Kyle Anderson to Steven Adams, and I think Kyle Anderson ended up beating him by like 3/4 of a point. But in like 150 max, I got like, pretty much all of my Looney became Adams. A lot of my Anderson became Adams, which, again, was a wash. But the
Yeah,
point
you
being,
can
like,
move Kuminga to
yeah,
Adams.
yeah,
There's a bunch of good.
I think some Kuminga became Adams. The point being though, like, you should never. If Steven Adams had been announced the starter, at this time yesterday, he'd have been like 30-40% owned.
Yeah, maybe more.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe more. Yeah, it's for sure. It's a good point. So you ended up getting a Boston win over Milwaukee. That series is knotted up at 2, and then the Warriors pull off that 3-point win against Memphis. Looks like they'll be packing, but 3-1 in that series. You got Philly, Miami, Dallas, Phoenix tonight. This has been fun. I mean, it's funny. I was thinking about this yesterday. It felt like you and I, because last week was weird. They had Tuesday was these 2 games. Wednesday was these 2 games. And then Thursday they didn't have any games at all. And then Friday were these 2 games again. So you and I have talked about these games almost every single time. We haven't talked about the games much that we saw yesterday, but Philly and Miami, it was a 2-0 series. Looked like it was going to be, a gentleman's sweep at best. That's knotted up 2-2. Dallas and Phoenix looked like it was going to go the same direction. And now that game, both of these series are minimum 6 games right now. So 2 really fun games to watch tonight.
Yeah, agreed. Really glad to see that Boston win, because I do have them at 22-1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. I don't know. Milwaukee is even without Middleton, man. What a team. When does he come back is the question. You get Middleton.
Sure.
I mean, that's probably going 7 as well. We're probably going to have outside of Golden State and Memphis, we at least have a game 6 for all of these, probably going to have a game 7 for most of them. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's dive into it. Before we do though, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Greatly appreciated. And it helps us a ton around here. So we got 200 people watching, 32 likes out of the gate. And if you want to join, hit that join down below. Very simple. You get the free super chats each month, the custom emojis, and you get those sweet badges. I saw someone yesterday saying he was iced up now. Yeah, it's a great feeling. You get that 1-year badge, feel accomplished around this way. But anyway, join the Awesemo team around here if you want. And I will always prioritize your questions and comments along with our premium Discord members. Let's jump straight into this one. Philly.
Oh wait, did you see the Dillon Brooks step back 3 like in crunch time with the game on the line?
No, I passed out last night. There was no way I was getting through that.
Oh, so Dillon Brooks was just doing Dillon Brooks things all game. I think he shot like 3 for 17 or something. But I don't remember what the score was. It was like a 1-point game or a tie game or something with like under a minute left. Early in the shot clock, and Dillon Brooks just takes a step back 3. Obviously misses it.
Oh God. It's like remember the Westbrook 3 in overtime? Do you not remember that? It was a Westbrook 3. He brought them all the way back. He was playing great basketball and then just decided to take a contested 3 from like 30 feet out and in overtime. And everyone's like, oh, dude, you were doing so well.
But yeah, he would do that with the Wizards. Like, it got to the point when the Wizards, because you remember the end of the year he was with the Wizards, they went on that run just to like get to the postseason, and he would play so good for like 46 minutes, and then it would be like a 2-point game, and he would like look off Bradley Beal and chuck a 3.
Yeah,
and it's just like, no, what are we doing, man? Just keep doing what you've been doing before.
Were doing. Exactly. I will have to walk away from the screen for a moment. Everything's made to break these days, fellas. I got a brand new washer and dryer. Well, 2.5 years, but that's still pretty new. You go to the parents' house, right? You go to the parent. How long did your parents have the same fridge or washer and dryer as a kid? Forever, right? They don't break.
Yeah, really long time.
Am I wrong though? Like, they may have new ones now, but I go into a lot of parents' houses. They still got the washer and dryer from like the 90s, and they work better than the shit that I just bought.
I could be wrong. Like, it's possible I just don't remember it being replaced, but I'm pretty sure my mom's house still has the same washer and dryer.
And they still work.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. I mean, they're ugly as hell, but nobody looks at them. I go out and get new ones, and they send me a text like, yeah, it's 200 for this. It's going to be another 50, 60 for this, 50 if we need two people, and then not including parts. I hung the phone up on him, and then I fuck you, dude. And then he calls back and he's like, okay, well, we can do this one for free. Like, yeah, that's absurd. The 2-year warranty, and then things just happen to break right afterwards. But anyway, he's going to be here. Even though I requested after 1:00, he's going to be here in like 10 minutes. So I'm just going to set him up. You'll be good to rattle off some numbers here, right?
Yeah, of course.
All right. And Jordan, just don't leave an empty chair.
Whatever.
What's that?
I said, or just argue with chat, whatever.
Yeah, argue with chat is fine with me, but don't argue in chat. Like, actually talk. I can't come back to silence.
So I'll verbally say how dumb Josh was for not playing more Steven Adams yesterday.
Oh man, you and Josh. Oof, it's getting ugly.
I kind of feel bad because he actually took the L already in chat, so that was kind of just overboard. But
did he?
Yeah. Well, kind of. He still thinks that Steven Adams gets like played off the floor in this series, but he took the L that he totally was wrong on him yesterday.
Okay. All right, Josh. I had no idea what to think with Steven Adams. Honestly, like, I really did.
I mean, once he was starting,
No, I'm sorry. I meant before. Like, we had questions in chat on the strategy show yesterday asking us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a lot. Like, it was possible that he would start because like it's just a different personnel with Tyus Jones out there than Ja. I was completely happy with the way I approached it. Like, if I had projected Steven Adams to start because I thought there was some chance, then I'm just putting myself in a situation where I'm going to end up with a ton of Steven Adams. And if he doesn't start, I have to swap him to like Kevon Looney and shit. Whereas I knew I was going to be getting to Kyle Anderson, Kevon Looney, Kuminga, those guys anyway. It's a lot easier to then just redo everything and swap it all to Steven Adams. So like, even though I didn't project Steven Adams for a single minute, and he still ended up being my third, like prior to the slate starting, he still ended up being my third highest owned guy.
All right. Let's talk about Philly. James Harden coming off a vintage game. I think I mentioned it to you yesterday, but what was really interesting about that is that Bam really did make it physically impossible to get any entry passes to Embiid late. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get out of Harden in this game. He had over a 32% usage rate last game, 41% assist rate, 12% rebound rate. So it wasn't like he only was scoring. He reverted back to the Harden that was doing everything. How do we want to get to him, or what do we want to do? I don't want to overreact to this, but it was really nice to see him aggressive, because if he's aggressive, I don't care if he's missing shots as long as he's taking them, and he's $8,900. That changed I'll be honest, even though it's one game, it definitely changed my perception on he can still do this. I don't know if he will do it, but he can still do it. And we saw that last time out.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly good to see. You had in that game, Harden with a 32% usage rate, which by his standards, that's still not crazy high. But given that he had been around, like 24% in the series coming in, that's certainly a nice bump. And it's nice to see, like you said, that he can do it. I don't think I was quite as surprised as you. Like, I still thought it was there, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be a consistent thing, even in this matchup. But the price tag also came down a bit as well. So, like 8,900, I still think looks pretty good for someone that's going to average, typically is going to play around 40 minutes. It's a price point where like he doesn't need to do a whole lot more than a fantasy point per minute to be a decent play on a 2-game slate at 8,900, and he is certainly capable of doing a lot more than that.
He is at 8,900. Yeah, it's just one of those spots that's going to be tough to get away from. Now, what about Embiid, who his price has come down? He's been, fine in these 2 games back in terms of like how he looks, but I'm not sure what Miami does today. I'm not sure what Spoelstra's adjustments are when you look at, they really did a good job of preventing Embiid from getting the ball. He had like 13 or 15 points in the first quarter. And then second half, even though Bam was in foul trouble, Joel Embiid was a lot less effective as a scorer and only attempted 13 shots. He did get to the line a lot, but I think you get what I'm saying here is, what do they do differently, or do they do anything differently and just hope that maybe on the other side they'd start knocking shots down?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my expectation. They shot poorly. I think, the game being at home and them probably naturally just shooting better is probably the game plan. I think that, you can kind of expect similar rates, similar production from Embiid. So far in this series now, he's played 74 minutes. He's averaged 1.03 DraftKings points per minute, 27% usage rate, 19% rebounding percentage. The salary on him has come down to where I'm certainly interested in tournaments, but you do need to keep in mind that, one, it's a difficult matchup, and you could certainly see Miami continue to try to limit Embiid and, maybe, kind of force more of a workload to Harden. But two, he is playing with a torn thumb and a broken face. I don't know how to quantify, like, I obviously don't have any data on like what Joel Embiid's normal rates are with a broken face, but I think it's likely that it's less than normal by some amount, and then the matchup also lowers it. So at 10K, certainly a strong option, but I think just kind of keep your expectations in check relative to what you would normally expect from Embiid.
The rest of Philly, break it down. I'll be right back. I think I hear somebody at the door, so apologies, but everybody else, take it from here. I'll be like 2 minutes.
All right, cool. We'll just sit in silence till you get back.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, so I mean, for the rest of the team, like Harden and Embiid are obviously, I think, the ones that stand out relative to salary. In tournaments, you still can take some shots at Tobias Harris at 7,100, Tyrese Maxey at 6,800. Those guys are still going to play a lot of minutes. It's just with Embiid and with Harden, the usage for them is going to be even less predictable. You're going to get fewer looks in general, but the minutes should still be there, and the price tags are reasonable. You got 42 minutes from Maxey last game, only a 15% usage rate though. Harris also a 15% usage rate in about 35 minutes. So they're more like last piece type in mid-range guys that I think you can still play, but it's just, you can't be that confident in their production. And then Danny Green, rounding out the starting five. Anybody that's played DFS for any amount of time, I think kind of knows what you're expecting from Danny Green at this point. He's probably going to play anywhere from like 24 to 34 minutes. On average, I expect 28 to 30. He's going to live and die by if his three-pointers fall and if he happens to run into a couple of steals. So it's a risky play. It's not a good matchup, but 4,500, the minutes should still be there. And it's kind of just makes him look like an okay option. So I think it's kind of, Embiid and Harden at the top, Harris, Maxey, obviously I think actually look better relative to salary than Green does, just because their minutes are so steady. But from a roster construction standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if Green is actually a little bit more useful just because he's cheaper. After those guys, you kind of run out of options on Philly, I think. You're going to get, like last game, you got 13 minutes from Milton, 15 from Thibault, 10 from Reed. Niang actually got back to playing 21. That was nice to see, but he also benefited from Danny Green being in foul trouble, so I'm not reading too much into that. I really think that beyond the five starters, it's difficult to get to much of anything from the Sixers.
Yeah, and Niang was one of those situations where he benefited from Green getting in foul trouble. I'm back, by the way.
Yeah, so that's why I stopped talking.
Yeah, thanks. He benefited from Green being in that foul trouble, but at the same time, he had a nice stretch there where I think Doc just decided to leave him on the floor for a little bit. So that's not something I would look at as, and I think you were alluding to that. Like, I don't think we're just expecting Niang to get another 21 minutes here. So
yeah, I mean, Green played 24. If you assume Green, let's say he's playing 30, that's 6 minutes right there, which would knock Niang down to 15. And then, you're kind of just playing the game of does he get those? Does Green play more than 30? Does Thibault play a little bit more? Like, any of those things are possible.
On the other side of this one, and we do have free content today, by the way, for those of you wondering, player projections for the NBA, player projections for MLB, PGA player rankings, NHL top stacks, all of that 100% free. But I would say take advantage of the fact that our Luka promo, still going, gives you 7 days for $7. 7 days for $7. What? Talk to me. Is it over? Hold on. I didn't see an end date on that.
This show was going a lot better when you were getting your refrigerator fixed.
It's not a refrigerator.
Dryer, washer, whatever.
You're right, Jordan. It expired. Hopefully you took advantage of that. Hopefully you're not an idiot and took advantage. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, it's over now. But yeah, shocked that Adam wasn't listening when I was telling a riveting washer and dryer story. So it's not going. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. Next time, I'm telling you, I don't care if you come in and correct me. If you come on, with the mic. Correct. Just do it. It's fine. As long as you're right. Don't be wrong about it. Don't commit. But if you're right, we're all good. I make mistakes here. But check out the free content we got on the site today. NBA player projections, NHL top stacks, PGA player rankings, and MLB player projections. Talk to me about Jimmy Butler on the other side of this one. This guy has been fantastic, dude. 40 points again. He's got 73 of the Heat's like 180 some points over the past 2 games. He's been absurd.
Yeah, he's playing out of his mind, and usage rate is up in the series. He's playing really well. Rebounding is up. It's kind of just across the board been a really, really good series, a really good postseason in general for Jimmy Butler. In this series, 147 minutes, 1.34 DraftKings points per minute, 29% usage rate, 30% assist percentage, 12% rebounding percentage. Just really, getting it done across the board, playing big minutes as well. The price tag has gone up now. Like you keep seeing the gap kind of like increase between him and James Harden. Last game it was a couple $100. Now you're talking $600. I do think that typically is just going to keep the ownership on Butler a little bit lower than Harden, but it also just makes it more and more difficult to get to Butler. I still think he's a good option at 9,500, just based on what he's done all postseason long, the minutes he's playing, what he's done in this series. But again, it's just getting harder and harder to get there when he's $500 less than Embiid and $600 more than James Harden.
Grand attractions. Lavi didn't read his script. I don't have scripts. Come on. Guy, tell me I got to read a script. Everything I do is unscripted. Hence why I fuck up all the time. Everybody else for the Miami Heat are questionable, like everybody. Although I will say the only one that's legit right now, unless you have a differing opinion, is Kyle Lowry. Like he tweaked that hamstring again. He looked terrible in game 4. Truly terrible. But okay, Hero, Strus, Tucker, Vincent, Martin, Dedmon, these guys are all questionable. But the biggest one, and Dedmon has an illness, with Kyle Lowry, I think it's totally possible he doesn't play. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I don't know that it's a certainty like everybody else that he's going to.
Yeah, it seems like a true Q tag, whereas everybody else, I think they're just messing around and still listing them on the injury report. The Dedmon piece is actually important, I think, because with him out last game, they didn't replace him with a big. Like Yurtseven didn't play. Markieff Morris played 3.5 minutes. As a result, it made it easier for Oladipo to get to 32 minutes. Gabe Vincent also only played 10, so that helped Oladipo get there as well. But that is kind of a piece where I think, like, if everybody's in, Lowry's in, Dedmon's in, all the questionable guys are in, you still get that upside from Oladipo, where if he plays well and Lowry, re-aggravates it again and Oladipo gets more minutes, whatever, he can get there. But I'd be really cautious of expecting a lot out of Oladipo if Dedmon's back, because if you give Dedmon like 10 minutes, looking at what happened last game, I think that basically just comes straight out of Victor Oladipo's rotation. With the exception being that he closed the game, but that was over Tucker and Lowry. So, like, again, you would need Lowry to probably be hurt.
Yeah. Somebody was saying that, excuse me, that the Heat, I think he was saying the Heat went small. Bam was in significant foul trouble. So, you had, and of course, I guess you're talking about why didn't they have the thing. Also, did you by any chance see the block that Embiid had on Morris? I mean, truly the most deflating thing ever. And then Morris just fell over.
I saw somebody tweet that Morris had whiplash again.
Oh man, he just fell over and nothing went well for that fella. But I don't know. I guess when it comes down to it, Tyler Hero has been one of those guys he has been bad in these last 2 games. And defensively, he's not exactly a stud. All the Miami fans out there are just freaking out that Duncan Robinson's not getting minutes because he's actually
on this team.
What?
I forgot he was on the team.
Yeah, he's played 1 minute in the series. Literally 1 minute in the series. And it's funny because remember he played 23 minutes in that opening game against Atlanta and shot 8 for 9 from 3. He's been a ghost since then, but I don't know. Their shooting from beyond has been so bad that people are asking for more Duncan Robinson. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a little, not because the fans are asking for it, but because they've shot so poorly, if that continues early on, if there is a little shakeup and maybe you do get some Robinson in there and things look a little bit differently. But I don't think it's really pertinent from a DFS standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it happens, it happens. I just really think the big to me out of like the secondary guys here, the biggest question mark is Oladipo because like if Lowry's out, Oladipo looks great at 5,300. If Dedmon's out, he doesn't look great, but he looks there's at least a path there because they can go small again, give more minutes to Oladipo. Like you said, you did have the Bam foul trouble also. When Bam fouled out early, or not fouled out, when Bam subbed out early in the third quarter, it was Oladipo who came in. You went with those small lineups. So you got the extra run for Oladipo there. You got extra run at the end when he subbed in for PJ Tucker in the starting lineup and Lowry wasn't out there because he was banged up. So if Dedmon's out, it does at least sort of open paths for Oladipo. And then if you take, again, if you take Lowry out, Oladipo is going to look great. So I just think that's a really big spot to pay attention to the news because we saw it 2 games ago when Oladipo was like 26% owned or something in the game where Lowry came back. It was absurd, like how popular he was. And it seems like people just kind of don't understand how rotations work. And so I think this is another spot where if Lowry's in, if Dedmon's in, if everybody's in, there's probably a pretty good chance you get too much ownership on Oladipo again.
Anything else from Miami you want to hit on?
I mean, Bam's still fine at 7,200. Like that's a cheap price tag for him. Should play 33, 34 minutes. I think that Butler and Bam to me are the top 2 guys. And then, Hero, if Lowry's in, I'm still pretty hesitant to go there, but he is cheap. If Lowry's out again, I like Oladipo. Strus and Tucker sort of like last guys in. And if Dedmon's back, 3K flat to play 10, 11 minutes. Certainly not something that you're going crazy for, but it's a decent pivot away from JaVale McGee.
All right. Dallas and Phoenix. 1 down, 1 to go. And remember, our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, got some great stuff going on over there. I know you saw it in our Hall of Fame channel, Jordan, another screenshot from Underdog, someone that just signed up a couple weeks ago, raking over there. Underdog Fantasy, they got nightly contests for NBA, which I think people assume that they just do these huge fantasy or best ball NFL contests, which they do, $10 million prize pool, absurd. But also like 25K Tuesday night hoops, 5K up top. They have props. They have prop contests, player prop contests, and a whole lot more. Very cool site, underdogfantasy.com, or just download it in the app. Everything looks good too. It's not one of these, sites that looked like it was put together with duct tape. It is very solid. You'll like playing there. You get $100 first time deposit match. Up to $100. They'll double it when you use the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO. Whether you're into basketball or you're already getting into football and ready to dive into the biggest best ball contest literally ever created in any space, well, Underdog Fantasy is the place to be, and familiarize yourself with it too, and the format and all of that as we head into the summer months and late spring months. Underdogfantasy.com. Use that promo code Awesemo. They'll double your first deposit up to $100 when you sign up and deposit for the first time. All right, let's go Dallas here. Luka Doncic has a 43% usage rate. He's just, for all intents and purposes, the best player on every slate right now, unless he's on the same slate as Giannis. But I know his last 3 games haven't been exceptional. Understand that. But if you still look at his shot volume and the usage, there's still all of the volume there and all of the playing time there, save for, the 1 foul trouble game and the blowout, that 70, 80 fantasy point game is still always there.
Yeah, that's always there. And once again, he just pretty clearly projects as the top scorer on the slate. Embiid is sort of close, I guess. Butler's, a bit behind Embiid, but Doncic, I think, pretty clearly the top projected guy. You do have that $1,400 gap now between him and Embiid, and you don't have the same level of value on this slate that you did yesterday, where it just made it extremely easy to get to Giannis. Here there is at least some merit to saying, okay, if Luka goes for 58, 60, something like that, maybe I can make up for it if JaVale McGee sucks and Cameron Payne sucks and Maxi Kleber, who's gotten more expensive anyway, sucks. You can make some strong lineups where you go, Harden and Bam and, Butler or Ayton or something like that, going a little bit more balanced. There's at least a case to be made for that today. Whereas I thought yesterday with Giannis, that was pretty much absurd. Like I had 100% Jones, I had 95% Giannis.
Yeah.
Here I don't think you necessarily need to go that extreme on Luka just because the value's not as good, but still the top projected guy on the slate. And there's nothing negative to say about Luka himself. If you can get to Luka, get to Luka. It's just a matter of the value isn't nearly as strong as it was yesterday.
How about the rest of this team? One actually that I think I'm looking at unders on today is Spencer Dinwiddie, because if you look at his minutes, Maxi Kleber has closed back-to-back games, dude. And it's not just like he's closing these games and playing little minutes. Otherwise, he's played 34 and 33 minutes now in both of those wins. Dinwiddie's minutes from game 1 down to 4 have trended down in each one: 30, 28, 24, and 19 last game, where he barely played in the second half. Now, granted, a lot of his minutes are without Luka, but it is becoming very interesting how the formula for Kidd has been less Dinwiddie and just more Dinwiddie with Luka off the floor when he's out there.
Yeah, fewer minutes for Dinwiddie recently. You're still getting a ton from the other starters. Davis Bertans he played in the second half last game, got 12, 13 minutes. And then Ntilikina's been in the rotation a little bit. I think that's squeezing Dinwiddie a bit as well. But yeah, it makes it really tough to get there because you and I had talked about it before. The price tag is coming down a little bit, but with Dinwiddie, the two options basically are either he plays fewer minutes, but the majority of those minutes, or at least like half of those minutes, or whatever minutes Luka's not on the floor, are without Luka, and he's a little bit more productive. Or he plays more minutes, but those minutes are just all coming with Luka and Brunson, and you're talking about somebody that doesn't really do anything when he's out there. So it makes it really, really difficult, I think, to like Dinwiddie as anything aside from just it's a 2-game slate, and I'm going to run out of players, so I'll probably have a little bit.
Right. When it comes to guys like Bullock, though, and DFS, and the obvious, the guys that you and I have talked about every day, almost every day now for a while, that they're just kind of there, but they're also getting a lot of minutes. How do they play into your lineup making tonight? And honestly, I know Maxi Kleber's prices come up, but if he keeps playing 33, 34 minutes off the bench, it's at least interesting. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think these guys are kind
You
of
hear
the
me?
what?
You hear me? I'll be right back. Keep going.
Yeah, that's what I was talking. These guys are kind of the most useful value on the slate in terms of obviously you can't just play a bunch of 5K guys and still get Luka and still get the other pieces that you want around them, but there's just not good cheap value on the slate, so it makes these 5K guys look a little bit more important. It's not that you're super excited about paying 5,100 for Kleba or 5,200 for Bullock or 5,900 for Finney Smith, but you can expect 38 to 40 minutes from Bullock and Finney Smith. Finney Smith's at 0.71 DraftKings points per minute in the series. Bullock's at 0.58, but just given how many minutes they're going to play, it still makes them look decent. Kleba getting a ton of minutes. He's now played 119 minutes in this series, so averaging about 30 minutes per game, 0.79 DraftKings points per minute. Price tag's coming up a little bit, but there's no real reason to think that those minutes are going anywhere unless he gets into foul trouble. Dwight Powell is not a fit in this series. I'm kind of surprised he's even still starting. Maybe that changes today, but I feel very comfortable with Kleba's minutes as long as he's able to avoid foul trouble. So I think all of those guys end up being just pieces that you use kind of like as a last guy in to help you get to what you want to get to. I do think Brunson, with the exception of Luka, I think Brunson's actually the top guy here. He's still getting a ton of minutes. You had seen him in some foul trouble early on in the series, but last game played 37, 38 minutes. He's only 6,400, so the price tag actually came down a little bit from where it was earlier on. 0.86 DraftKings points per minute for Brunson, 26.5% usage rate in this series. Again, outside of Luka, Brunson's my favorite guy here. And then I think it's just kind of Kleba, Bullock, Finney Smith rounding out lineups. If you are playing 150 lineups and you need to take a dart throw on somebody cheap and you don't want to go to Dedmon, or you don't happen to want to go to McGee or Payne in that lineup, Bertans playing 12, 13 minutes, you can hope he knocks down a few threes, gets you 14 fantasy points, and you move on. If he just beats McGee, you're probably in good shape, McGee and Payne. But certainly that's a 150 max type play, and even then, I don't know if I'll actually get to any.
There was a sock in the drain.
So you just bitched for 5 minutes about how they don't make things correctly anymore, and it's because you put a sock in the drain?
No, I didn't physically stick a sock into the drain, bro. When the water, you know how you have water in a washing
I have
machine, because
absolutely no
that's,
idea how a washing machine
you know
works.
how there's water in there because it gets how they get clean, right? You're
Yeah,
familiar
yeah,
with that,
yeah. There's
right?
water, and then you
Okay.
put in detergent. Yeah.
So okay, we're at step one. Um, so before the spin cycle, the water drains out. Must have sucked. It's my daughter's sock. They're like this big. So yeah, it's free though. So I just tipped him.
There you go.
That's a win.
Yeah,
All right.
that's always my biggest fear with like telling like even renting. You're like hitting at my landlord and being like, "Hey, blah blah blah's not working." I'm like, they're gonna come out and it's gonna be some dumb shit where it's just like
Yep.
like that at least was an actual thing. Like I'm just always afraid they're gonna come out and be like, your air conditioner is not working because you didn't turn it on.
Yeah. Right. Your air conditioner's not working because you have it on heat.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have window units or you have central?
Central.
Okay. But yeah, that's good. Okay. That's good. See, no, yeah, I physically I went behind there and put a sock in the drain. But yeah, that's funny, man. Wouldn't drain, and now we're good to go. Simple as that. He was here for like 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes. These guys are good. All right. So I'm assuming you just covered all of Dallas. I actually heard most of it. So I did. I was in
Mike
earshot.
said, "Sir, you have a flat screen TV in your drain."
Yeah. All right. Phoenix Suns. Oh, and hit that thumbs up too. Sorry for me being more aloof than usual today. Someone called you aloof yesterday on the stream. I said, yeah, he is kind of
Was that like the
aloof.
third time that I just was zoned out, not paying attention?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was trying to get baseball line. Oh, that was a different show, so I can't even use that excuse.
Mr. Nice Guy. Laffy, was that your special sock breaking washer? My daughter's sock, man. Come on. Have some tact. I mean, this guy. Have some tact. Almost at 100 likes, though. Appreciate that. 400 something people watching. Let's talk about the rest of this one with the Phoenix Suns. Get down to business. Chris Paul fouls out last game. His wife and kids physically assaulted.
That story just keeps getting weirder.
I'm just joking. I don't really think they were assault. I mean,
well, did you see the most recent?
Sorry?
Did you see what Chris Paul's mom said?
No. So, and let me paraphrase, or let me set this up just by saying I don't actually know what happened. All I saw was I skimmed a statement from Dallas, and it was something like an unwanted hug or something. But did they actually like hurt them or push them? Tell me what Chris Paul's mom said.
Chris Paul's mom said that this kid was clearly drunk and just kept like tapping her on the shoulder and saying Happy Mother's Day, and like she kept asking him to stop, and he just kept like tapping her on the shoulder. But then the weird thing too is like, I don't know if you saw the video or it wasn't the video. I don't think, like the still frame of like when the kid's mom is like kind of escorting him out, and like everyone around the Suns bench is just like glaring at this kid. But the kid was like 15, or looked like 15. Maybe he was 22 or something. But like,
Do you think he knew it was Chris Paul's mom and kids?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like my guess is he probably was like, just like if he was drunk, he probably was just being annoying to whoever was.
That's what I was thinking.
It happened to be Chris Paul's mom, and then Chris Paul, reacts because his mom is pissed off. Like because you could see Chris Paul like in the video, like looking into the stands and see like probably just that his mom is upset with.
Could be, yeah, yeah. I know very few. I know what very few parents look like in the league.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Hari Nurkic. I would know Hari Nurkic for sure.
I would just be like, that is a giant dude, and then somebody would say, "Oh yeah, it's Jokic's dad." And right, that makes sense.
Nurkic, not Jokic.
Oh, Nurkic's dad. Yeah, yeah.
Remember Nurkic's dad? The cop.
The cop. Yeah.
That beat up like 8 people at the same time.
Yeah.
I would know. LeVar Ball is actually really funny in this commercial. Did you see the LaMelo Ball commercial?
It's for one of the phone services, right?
Yeah, and I think it's like Progressive or phones or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like
AT&T, Jordan.
LaMelo's like the salesman.
Yeah, where he's like, I'm gonna be up there, and it's like Employee of the Week, and LeVar comes by, he's like, "See, my son can do anything," or something like that, which is funny. Like you're joking about yourself, but
yeah,
I don't know.
No, my interpretation from the very little that I know about the Chris Paul thing Probably some drunk kid being an asshole, tapping just what happened to be the lady to his left. It was Chris Paul's mom. I can relate it to the numerous times in high school where like I'd go to like a opposing team's like a rival baseball game with a few of my friends, be sitting there talking about how much I hate this kid on the other team, how much I think he sucks, and the mom in front of me would turn around and be like, "That's my son," and it's like, "Oh, well, sorry, didn't know what his mom looked like." I feel like that's probably the same thing with like this kid just
Yeah.
tapping some lady and happens to be Chris Paul's mom.
Kid seems like an asshole anyway,
Sure, yeah,
but thank you.
you're welcome.
Very nice guy. Very nice guy. Tipped him handsomely for that. In and out. Didn't bother me. That's how work should be done. All right. So
No, tapping someone on the shoulder is not physical assault. It's, I mean, and again, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. My assumption, if you're on the basketball court and so some dude is just annoying the hell out of your mom, you don't know what's going on. She reacts. You look up and you just see some kid messing with your mom. What are you gonna do?
yeah, sure. Look, this happened not long ago. This happened like a week ago with Mike Tyson, where that guy was bothering him and he turned around and just started punching him. And I am
Well deserved.
100%. I'm on Mike Tyson's side with that
100%.
100%. I really am. Do you blame him?
No, not at all.
They
And he
do.
clearly showed restraint because that kid's still breathing.
I think that kid was on mushrooms too. I saw something that he was tripping face. And I mean, what a hard. I'm telling you right now, if I'm tripping on mushrooms, the last thing I want to do is pick a fight with Mike Tyson.
Right.
I just don't think that would end well psychologically. But like you said, yeah, Mike Tyson could have taken that a couple steps further for sure.
I had this really bad trip, and there was just giant monster just wailing away on me. No, bro, it was actually Mike Tyson on an airplane.
Say that again.
I said the kid on mushrooms is just sitting there like, man, I'm having this really bad trip.
Oh,
There's just
yeah.
like this monster wailing away on my face.
Exactly. And could you imagine eating, not this, I know you haven't done it, but eating mushrooms and being on a commercial flight? Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
That sounds horrible. Anyway, Chandre, just talk to the kid, man. Not an issue. A man should always remain in frame. Stop getting him up. That was going on for a while. That was going on for a while. I don't know. I think physical altercations can solve some things.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if he's talking about the Chris Paul one or the Mike Tyson one, but
Oh, well, the Chris Paul one's different. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that
but
kid,
like it's not like Chris Paul did anything physical. He just started yelling at the kid and
right,
had 8 rows of people between them.
right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Mike Tyson, I think, went really easy on the guy.
Yeah, I mean those are love taps from Mike Tyson if you saw his face.
Yeah. How else should we approach Phoenix today? What if we're at the top, Devin Booker and Chris Paul? Chris Paul's price point keeps coming down. And in this series, he's been, outside of one game, wildly underwhelming.
Yeah.
Chris Paul.
No, I know. I caught it.
You gave me PTSD for the past couple.
Yeah, I mean, the AK price tag though, I think still looks good. It's just it kind of depends on what builds you're going with, I think. Because if you're going Luka, then obviously that's going to force you down to some of the questionable value. It's going to force you to some of those cheaper Mavs guys. But if you are going balanced, even though Paul hasn't been very good in this series, he's still averaging 1.06 DraftKings points per minute. He still has a 23% usage rate and a 26% assist percentage. So the upside's very clearly there, and he's only 8K. So if you're like, and not to say you can't play him with Luka, like obviously you can, but you just have fewer roster spots in that 8K range if you're going to Luka. But the reason that I like him in balanced builds is when you think about, again, if you're going balanced, if you're not playing Luka, I don't think you're really approaching it saying like, okay, well, if Luka scores 40 fantasy points, I'm in great shape, because that's like so unlikely to happen. But you're thinking more like, let's say Luka goes for 50, 55, 57, something like that. Chris Paul is someone that can actually get into that range, when he plays well. Obviously, Devin Booker is someone that can do that as well. He's only $600 more. I think he's going to be more popular. I think he should be. But Chris Paul does still at least give you that high-end, range of outcomes.
Devin Booker, how do we, this is kind of a good way to look at this one, I think, for today, since it's only 2 games. How does Devin Booker stack up against guys like, I'll throw Paul in here too. Let me go into a range. Okay. How does he fall into, or how does he do prioritize a guy like him compared to Paul, to Harden, who's only $300 more? Butler is $900 more, but he's still, a lot less than Luka and 500 less than Joel Embiid. So among those 4 players, where's Booker stand for you?
So I think that I do like Booker a little bit more than Paul. Again, just assuming ownership is about the same. If it's not, I don't think there should be like a huge gap between them. Right now, we have Booker at 40%. We have Paul at 30. So if you have a lineup where you already have a lot of popular guys, maybe you go Paul, but it's not like it's a huge gap there. So I do like Booker a little bit more. He's at 1.1 DraftKings points per minute in the series, 30% usage rate, 25% assist percentage. I think he's similar to Harden. The matchup isn't quite as scary for Booker. The usage rate's a little bit higher. He's probably playing similar minutes. He's a little bit cheaper. So I would give him a slight edge just based on the salary. And then him versus Butler, I think, is really difficult just because the gap is so big in salary. I think Butler projects better, but probably not by enough to justify a $900 price difference. And that's one reason why when we talked about Butler, I said that I still like him a lot in terms of just, I think he's going to have a good game. And if he gets into my lineups, then sure. But it's just really tough to grab Jimmy Butler at a higher price point than all of Harden, Booker, Paul, and Bam, other guys, and say like, yeah, I'm confident he's just going to beat this entire tier.
That's a good way to look at it. Sean Dre, by the way, I agree with you that 99% of the time, conflict should be solved non-violently, but don't use Will Smith as an example of why you shouldn't do that. Will Smith couldn't take a joke. Okay. And don't know, but it was still a joke about his wife, soon to be ex-wife. So no, that's a bad example, but I would agree with you. Almost all of the time, that stuff is insanely unnecessary. However, you start messing with somebody's mom, even if I'll be, dude, I don't know about you, but if I saw someone in my mom's there and they're just poking her and talking in her ear and constantly badgering her, first, I would come up and approach them and tell them to back off. But if they continue doing it, you're going to have to do something. Of course, he had security there and everything, but you're not always in a situation where you have security.
Yeah, one, you're going to just see red. And two, it's not like Chris Paul was like trying to get into the stand swinging. He was yelling at the kid and, trying to get to, like, I didn't see anything wrong with the way Chris Paul reacted.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, me neither. Yeah, like I'm with you. If security and 3 rows of people weren't there, he gets to the kid and then, you take it from there. It's not like he was trying to, sprint in, like swinging, like no questions asked or anything.
Right. And you're right. You're right. She couldn't take the joke. And Will Smith looked over and was like, oh no, I got to do something. And then just looked absurd. By the way, who's worse? Who's worse, his kid or Mahomes' brother?
Whose kid?
Who's worse, Will Smith's kid or Patrick Mahomes' brother?
I don't know anything about Will Smith's kid.
Really?
No.
Oh God. Someone upstairs is looking out for you because when Will Smith did that, his son tweeted something like, "That's how we do it," or something like that. Oh God, he's absolute worst.
The only reason I know about Mahomes' brother is because of the stupid shit with Sean Taylor.
No, he's brutal. He's equal.
I mean, I know that now because I was like, who the hell is this guy? And started like looking at his stuff.
Tried to like dox a small bar and grill because
I did see that, yeah.
Because they couldn't accommodate his entire entourage without notice.
Yeah, I did see that one.
These kids are so entitled, it's disgusting. Yeah, my kid won't be like that. Maybe she will. I don't know. Better be famous if she is. Anybody else? Oh, hey, what about Jay Crowder? This guy's actually been pretty good lately. He has in the last 2 games 21% usage rate, 19% usage rate in this series. He's rebounding well, averaging about 11 rebound chances per game. He actually and he's played 36 minutes both games, or each of the last 2 games. Game before that, Only reason he didn't get to 33 minutes was a blowout. And then he would have got to around 32 had it not been for early foul trouble in the second half. So minutes are up, but really up the last 2 games, and he's playing well.
Yeah, he's someone you and I were actually talking about him a little bit after the show yesterday, just as far as someone that is playing kind of in a different role in this series than they were during the regular season. So again, going back to that Tatum talking point yesterday, where obviously it was useless and he grabbed 13 rebounds, but I do put some stock into when 3-4 games into a series against the same team, your rates are just different than normal. I do think at least some of it's by design. And so far, Crowder has an 18.7% usage rate in this series. That doesn't seem high, but it's several points higher than normal. He has a 13.5% assist percentage, a 13.5% rebounding percentage. He's just doing everything across the board. He's averaging 1 fantasy point per minute. Now, you can't just look at that fantasy point per minute production because he does have a 73% true shooting percentage. That is not going to continue, and when it drops off, the per minute production is going to fall. But the rates being up is certainly a good sign for Crowder, in addition to his playing time being up. 5,500 I think is still a decent price tag for him. Similarly, Mikal Bridges, you can just count on to play a lot of minutes. He was wildly disappointing last game, only played 32 minutes, but did deal with some foul trouble, subbed out 3 minutes and 36 seconds into the third quarter. Otherwise, he would have played more. His price tag's come down a little bit to 5,700. I think it makes him look very similar to like a Dorian Finney-Smith type play as well.
All right, so we're going to close out this slate. We're going to close out Phoenix, but I have a question for you and the chat, and it's a fun one. And everybody, give me your best answer. And let's try and not make it as traditional, like the obvious answers as usual. Adam, I'm going to ask you first. Jordan, I want your answer too. So you're sitting in the stands. You're this kid. You're drunk. Let's think we're not these people, but let's assume we are. You're drunk, and you're tapping them on the shoulder. You're doing the Happy Mother's Day stuff, but you don't actually know that they are the parent of a player. Who is the last parent you would want to find out that is of the player? You get the question, right? Like, who's the last person when you see like, oh no, that's
so are we asking? I mean, are you asking? You're asking the player though.
I'm saying, yeah. I'm sorry, yeah. I'm not, and I don't. Yeah, they go, yeah.
I was like trying to
Butler.
think of anybody's mom that I knew who it was.
Right. I'm saying that what player would you not want to find out that is their parent?
Yeah. James Johnson.
I knew that was going to be. That's why I said that's everyone goes to the James Johnson thing because he does karate.
I thought that was kind of off the board because I had to think about if he was even still in the league.
I feel like maybe I thought because you and I have had this conversation.
Yeah, you and I have talked about James Johnson a lot.
But like fighting before, who would you not want it to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. James Harrison. Yeah. If it's NFL, James Harrison's one of the scariest dudes I've ever seen, man. He really is.
Bobby Portis is a good answer.
Oh, Bob. Yeah. Remember when he rocked Nikola Mirotic in practice, literally broke his face?
Yep.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think, are there any other players that are just like, they don't have to be trained boxers, but they're just not guys.
Isaiah Stewart's a good one.
Who? RJ Stewart, you said?
Isaiah Stewart.
Oh, yeah. Isaiah Stewart. Yeah. Who did he go after? And then he came back through the tunnel.
LeBron?
Wasn't it LeBron?
Yeah.
It was, right? Jordan, who's your answer?
Probably Damian Lillard because he boxes a lot, so probably Dame.
Dame, okay.
He seems chill though. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't be in that situation, but
yeah. Arcatelza said Aaron Hernandez. I'd be fine. I'm not worried about a dead guy, pal. But if he was, he's just gonna pull a gun out at the 50-yard line and just start firing. Josh just said that's the dumbest answer possible.
My issue with Jordan's answer is like, I think Damian Lillard, like obviously he would still react, but like I think he has a gap. Like he at least has like a like gap between before the switch flips. I think there's a lot of guys that just like.
I agree.
I don't think so. A lot of, I don't know, if you follow Damian Lillard on like Instagram, Twitter, whatever, he boxes all the time, and I feel like Damian Lillard, he's from Oakland, and
I'm not saying that like he wouldn't beat the living shit out of me. I'm saying that like I'm saying that and just based on like his persona, I think he at least like is more within his head, I guess. Like he's I don't know. I don't think he like. I think he would at least have a second thought before he just like jumped in the crowd.
Sure. Mine would be, and hear me out, Boban Marjanovic. Now, normally you'd say he's the nicest guy out there, right? And he is. But if it came down to something with his mom, if you flip a switch on that guy and he becomes the Mountain Gregor from Game of Thrones, he would actually pop my head like a water balloon.
Yeah, but you could just run away from him.
But if he catches me,
Yeah.
I'm drunk, remember?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm drunk. If you see him storming, I honestly think he could pop my head like a balloon with his hands.
Just like pick you up by it and your head just like comes off.
Yeah. I really think it's maybe not, but the size of his hand. Have you ever seen him next to his wife in those pictures?
Yeah, she is. Well, she's like normal sized and he's not.
Pretty hot though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that would be my answer. If he caught me. Albert Hainsworth wouldn't bother running after you. That's Jordan Burkhead. That's the problem. That guy, unless you're paying him, $100 million that he can do nothing for.
Oh, Udonis Haslem's a good one.
Haslem's a good answer. Yeah, Haslem's a good answer. By the way, I do think Boban might be the nicest person on earth. I just think that the idea of him coming in full Game of Thrones, Gregor Clegane style would be hilarious. Steven Adams is a great answer, Sherman. He reminds me of like this. You see him out there. It looks like a tribal warrior.
Yeah. Okay. But here's the thing with that one. It's the same issue I have with Lillard. Like, so I think it depends with somebody like Adams. I think it depends on what happens after he confronts me. Like, I think he's going to confront me before he beats the hell out of me. I think.
So you're saying there are other guys that would not think to use.
There are other guys that would not ask a question.
I think that's fair. Steven Adams has superhuman strength, though. We've seen him pick up opposing bigs and carry them.
Oh, yeah. It was Dedmon, right?
Yeah, he carried him like a backpack. Amazing stuff.
Can I change my answer?
Yeah, please.
I'm gonna go to Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl.
That's a good one, I think.
That's a good answer.
I'm gonna change it.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Okay.
Boogie's
and by the way, there it is. There it is. David Porter nailed it. I'm talking active players. Demarcus Cousins would murder someone in the state. He'd kill him. He'd kill him. We know he had some, issues, familial issues growing up. He's, by the way, one of my favorite players and personalities ever. Absolutely love him. So this is no slight on Cousins. Adam, Demarcus Cousins would see red, wouldn't think twice, and you're done. You're gone. You don't exist.
Yeah, like if Steven Adams is coming at me, I'd be surprised if, he just walks up and punches me in the face, no questions asked. Boogie, I just assume I'm going to die.
Right. You assume there is no talking at all.
No.
And after he hits you the first time, he probably stomps your head in.
Right, yeah. There's no stop. I don't think there's any stopping. I don't think there's any talking.
Oh, dude. I miss so badly this Demarcus Cousins Sacramento Kings days. Remember with him and Tyreek Evans? Those were some fun years. Really fun years, even though they weren't good. They were such a fun team.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else for Phoenix before we head out?
Yeah, Cameron Johnson is only 3,900. He did benefit last game because of foul trouble for Bridges. Also, just as an aside, Paul fouled out in 23 minutes last game, so don't put any stock into his playing time or any of that. But Johnson, did benefit from Bridges foul trouble, but I think that on average, you're probably still getting around 20, 22 minutes from him at 3,900. Makes him look like a reasonable value on a slate that doesn't have much good value.
All right. Well, this is fun. Everyone keeps saying Ron Artest. Yes, we know Ron Artest. I know. Current players. Who would you, last question, who would you be most happy that it was his mom? Who would you be like, oh, thank God?
Yeah, I mean, I'm bigger than Isaiah Thomas.
I feel like he's scrappy, though.
Yeah, no, okay. To be clear, every single one of these people beat the hell out of me.
For me, I think Matisse Thybulle would just be one of those guys like, hey Jay, come on.
I don't know.
You think
I could see it going either way with him.
Luka, it has to be Luka.
I don't really know anything about his personality.
Okay, I know a decent amount about his personality just from watching all this stuff. He's like the nicest guy ever.
Luka's mom.
Oh, you just think that because she's hot.
So
you're like, I'll take my chances. Is that what you're saying?
Mikhail said, "Why are you talking about guys that can't actually fight?" Because it doesn't matter how well they fight. Any of them, if we actually get into a fight, are going to dog me. I am just trying
Eric A just gave the best answer.
I'm trying to avoid the ones that are going to walk up and kill me.
Ben Simmons. Eric just gave the best answer.
That's
Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
that's a great answer. But no, I know what you mean. All right. Let's head out. We got the MLB strategy show coming. I know, Jordan, we're good. Don't worry. Coming up next. This has been fun. Appreciate you guys hanging out as always. Good interaction there as well. Hit that thumbs up before you go. Subscribe to the channel and stick around. Everything else coming up later today. Adam and I'll be back with you at 5:30. Peace.